So this week we have the Green Bay Packers at 10-3 traveling to Baltimore, facing off against the Ravens, currently sitting at 8-5. And the biggest, I think, topic of discussion right now coming into this game is whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to play, because he did just suffer that ankle injury in week 14. And so because of that, he has missed practice Wednesday, Thursday, and today, which is Friday, the moment I'm filming this. And even though he has missed practice, John Harbaugh did say he could still potentially play on Sunday. So we'll probably have to wait until Sunday to see, whether or not he's going to play, what his status is. And of course, if he doesn't play, backup QB Tyler Huntley, who actually played pretty good last week when Lamar went down. He had a 99.7 QB rating last week. He will be the backup to come in there if Lamar Jackson does not play. But starting off, sort of taking a look at this Ravens offense and sort of how they've been performing. Their past 5 games, they have been struggling a lot. They've only scored 16.6 points per game. And with their offense struggling like that, they have lost 3 of their last 5 games. So even though I think they still are a dangerous team, currently sitting at 8-5, they have been struggling recently. And if we take a look at Lamar Jackson's stats and sort of how he has been performing, as this offense has been underperforming. So if we take a look here, you can see week 10, losing to the Dolphins. He went 26-43, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Next week versus the Browns, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. Next week, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then, of course, he goes down in week 14 and really doesn't play too much in that game. So Lamar Jackson has been struggling. He has been, throwing lots of turnovers. And one thing I think the Packers defense has relied on this year and has done a really good job at is, forcing turnovers, especially the past 2 weeks. Of course, 2 pick sixes, both by Rasul Douglas, 1 versus Matthew Stafford in that game. And then last week versus the Bears, he had another pick 6. So this Packers defense hasn't really good when it comes to turnovers. So if Lamar Jackson keeps this up, I think it's going to be tough for this, this Ravens team to beat this really, really hot Packers team right now. And if we do take a look at the overall offense for the Ravens this year, overall, they're the 16th best scoring offense in the NFL. They do average the 3rd most rushing yards per game, so that's definitely their strong suit is their running ability. Of course, before the season started, so many of the Ravens running backs went down, which I think clearly has hurt their team, but they've still been able to run the ball a lot. 3rd most rushing yards and 3rd most rushing attempts in the NFL. And so with that being the case, the Packers are going to be without Kenny Clark, of course, the interior nose tackle on this Packers defense, who I think is probably one of the more important players on this Packers defense. And so, not having him this week because he has been placed onto the COVID reserve list is, going to be a little bit tougher for this Packers defense to stop the run. Doesn't mean they can't. We will need to lean on, rookie 5th rounder TJ Slayton to come in there, fill the middle. Matt LaFleur said he's going to, play a much bigger role this week with Kenny Clark most likely out. It's not official yet, but just the fact that he is on the COVID reserve list, it's not likely that he is going to be able to return for this game, which is definitely unfortunate. But overall, this Packers defense has been, probably one of the best Packers defenses in a while. Right now, they're the 9th best against the run, 8th versus the pass, and they are the 6th best scoring defense in the NFL. So, of course, I think the past 2 seasons with the Packers, their weakness has always been their defense. And this year, it really has become their strength. It's honestly crazy. And so because this defense, as I already said, has been able to force so many turnovers, it really just puts Aaron Rodgers in a great position. So he doesn't have to be crazy good, even though he has been crazy good the past few weeks. The Packers offense can still, do pretty good, or do average, I guess you could say, and still win games. Because last year, it was sort of a different story. The Packers offense was blowing so many different teams out, putting up points like crazy. They're the 1st best scoring offense in the NFL. And even though our defense is okay, they weren't playing at this level that this Packers defense is under new defensive coordinator Joe Barry. So it will be interesting to see sort of how this Packers defense faces off against Lamar Jackson. I think one key for this Packers defense that we'll definitely have to keep an eye on is tight end Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Last week he went off, had 11 receptions, 115 yards, and 1 touchdown. So we'll see what happens this week with maybe Lamar Jackson playing versus the Packers D. If not Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley. I think, with Lamar Jackson in there, you never know what could happen. He could come in, have a crazy game. Of course, you also got to watch his rushing ability as well. So we'll see what happens there. Now moving to the other side of the ball, I think the Ravens defense is definitely their strong suit. Right now, if we take a look at the Ravens defense, they're currently the 10th best scoring defense in the NFL, so pretty solid, top 3rd in the NFL. Right now, they have the best run-stopping defense in the NFL. They are 1st in rushing yards allowed and only allow 3.94 yards per carry, which is 3rd best in the NFL. And they have only allowed 1 player to run for over 100 yards this season, and that's Dalvin Cook, where he had 110 yards in 1 game. So it will be tough, I think, to run against this Ravens defense, considering how good they have been. Plus, throw in the fact that the Packers are losing or are missing 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, which is while they've still, been somewhat able to protect Aaron Rodgers. They've done a pretty good job. The Packers do, though, have a pretty talented backfield with A.J. Dillon, playing a lot of snaps recently because Aaron Jones has been dealing with some different kinds of injuries, and he's been really, really good. But this will be a tough task against a really good, solid Ravens defensive front, especially when it comes to stopping the run. And then also, Aaron Jones may miss this game, possibly not. He had an illness yesterday. It wasn't COVID, but I did just get an update that I saw from Matt LaFleur that said that it was sort of like a stomach bug he had, and he should be good to go on Sunday. But we'll see, and I'll keep you guys updated on that one. But the one area where I really think the Packers are going to excel this week is in the passing game. There are lots of different reasons for this. First off, of course, we have Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, who, against any defense, are going to put up some numbers most times. But then taking a look at this Ravens defense, their secondary is so injured, and it's going to be really tough, I think, for them to match up against Aaron Rodgers, especially with how good he has been playing. Right now, the Ravens have lost Marlon Humphrey to season-ending injury, Marcus Peters, Deshaun Elliott as well. And this week, they're likely going to be without safety Chuck Clark, who is on the COVID reserve list. So basically, their 2 starting cornerbacks and safeties probably won't be playing in this game. And so because of this, I think it's going to be really hard for the Ravens to stop Aaron Rodgers. The Packers are without Randall Cobb, who has had an injury, but even last week with him leaving, Allen Lazard definitely stepped up. Last week had 6 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. But right now, I just want to show you guys Aaron Rodgers' stats the past 3 weeks. And in these games, he does have that toe injury, but it seems to make him better for whatever reason that may be. So as you can see right here, he's been balling out. Last week, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns, 141.1 rating versus the Rams on the 28th. 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 97.2 rating. Versus the Vikings, 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 148.4 ranking. So now Aaron Rodgers has really sort of moved himself up in the MVP conversation. Right now, I think the only player ahead of him in odds, at least, is Tom Brady. And so I think there is a good chance that Aaron Rodgers could, maybe move ahead of Tom Brady coming here to the end of the season. But just with the way Aaron Rodgers is playing, and then you add in the fact how beat up this Ravens secondary is coming to this game, I really think this Packers offense is going to heavily rely on the pass just because of how good this Ravens defense is. I still think the Packers will need to rely on the run a little bit just because if you just completely go pass heavy, they sort of know it's coming. So I expect them to continue to run the ball as well. But I do think it's going to be a big game from Aaron Rodgers in this one, as well as Davante Adams. And just looking at Davante Adams' past 3 games, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns versus the Bears, 104 yards versus the Rams, and then 2 touchdowns, 115 yards versus the Vikings. So I don't think the Ravens are going to find a way to stop Davante Adams. I just don't think it is going to happen. So with all these different factors coming into this game, I do think the Packers are going to come in here and beat the Ravens. That is my prediction. I think the Packers will score 31 points. I say Ravens 21. So that is my final score prediction. Packers 31, Ravens 21. But let me know your score prediction in the comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to see more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.